Hi, I'm Meryl Key, and this is my mystery school. Here's your Astrology Dice Advice Horoscopes for May 2024. What do you need to know? Well, Jupiter is changing signs from earthbound Taurus into fickle, zippy Gemini, opening multiple possibilities. Jupiter expands what it touches, so we'll have a peek at what Jupiter's arrival in Gemini means for you. To start, I'll give a snapshot overview of the planetary transits, and then we'll get into the dice for each individual sign through the zodiac. If you want more in-depth astro geek analysis, watch my monthly What is Happening and Why astrology videos. And if you'd like to help my channel, you can subscribe, like, share or comment. Thank you for the support. Here's an astro transit overview for May 2024. The new moon is on the 8th of May in Taurus. The full moon on the 24th of May is in Sag. The sun is in Taurus and moves to Gemini on the 20th. Mercury is in Aries, moving to Taurus on the 15th. Venus is in Taurus, moving into Gemini on the 23rd. Mars is in Aries. And this is the big one. Jupiter's in Taurus, moving to Gemini on the 26th. It will stay in Gemini until June next year. And I'll dip into that for each sign as we go through the astro dice. Saturn's in Pisces. Uranus is in Taurus. Neptune's in Pisces. Pluto's in Aquarius. And it turns retrograde at the beginning of the month on May the 2nd. Chiron's in Aries. The North Node's in Aries and the South Node is in Libra. So let's kick off your horoscopes for May 2024, starting with Aries. Aries, you've come hot on the heels of the eclipse last month, and Jupiter's shift into Gemini has got your mind working in new directions. There's a restless energy with this one for you, but until mid-next year, your connections and your means of communication take a leap. There might be extra info that drops in, or contracts that need signing, or just a different way of doing it. Who do you want to connect with, and how are you going to do it? Roll the dice. Aries, you have Gemini, the 3rd house, and the South Node. This looks to me like what you go through in May sets the scene till about this time next year. There's Gemini in its hometown of the 3rd house. So this is all about communication. It's the way you get your message across, and it's also about the thinking that goes on behind that messaging. With the South Node there's a suggestion here that over May, there'll be a cooling off in communication, perhaps even a release or a purge. The South Node has the effect of lessening whatever it touches, while Jupiter, moving into Gemini at the end of the month, expands what it touches. So we've got a push and pull going on here. Something has to be said or expressed or let go before you can take on the expansion. The South Node in this place could also have you looking back over old communication, old connections, going back to childhood, going back to your old neighbourhoods. There's something that's held in the past that can give you the key to communicating what you need and moving forward. If we're asking who or what you want to connect with and how you want to do it, this dice can be looking at your siblings, your neighbourhood, people you went to school with, people from childhood. When we move that to how do you want to connect with these people, the South Node is about letting it go, resolving the issue, and in some way taking a step back to let others work things out for themselves. And that's not a bad thing. Taurus, you've had Jupiter in your sign for the last 12 months. And as it shifts into Gemini, you'll get a sense of how much you've grown in that time. The new moon on the 8th is in your sign, and that indicates a new cycle. And the next 12 months ahead could be very lucky for you with extra resources or income streams opening up. You've also got Venus in your sign until the 24th, and that definitely sweetens the flow of luck your way. Let's roll the dice and see what they say. Taurus, you have Pisces, Mars, and the 4th house. Mars is the planet here, so it's the main feature of this read. When we put Mars in Pisces, it's very soft, it's very protective. Mars in Pisces would avoid confrontation. It gives strength to the vulnerable. It could sacrifice what it wants to let others get ahead. And in the 4th house, this is talking about your family, your home, and that inner sanctuary where you feel safe. So the dice is telling me you need to protect your boundaries of what is safe and home and sanctuary to you. You might be leaking energy. You might be giving too much. There might be boundaries that have got a bit wobbly and a bit dissolvey, and you've got to put your foot down. This could literally be in your family home, literally checking the seals and the locks, or it could be with family members who seem to feel they can walk in and out of your personal space or take advantage of your good nature. This dice says it's a good time to do things for you, to block out all the distractions and spend some playtime making things beautiful in your home, making a creative space, or making space for creativity. There's a kind of sense that there's been a war on with Mars there, you asking for what you want and not being able to get it. So over May, put a bit of protection and boundary in place, especially in the areas that you tend to give more than you get back. Gemini. Gemini, you're a bit of the star of the show, with Jupiter moving into your sign for the first time in 12 years. This is the beginning of a new cycle for you, and the planets are giving you a confidence boost, new roles, and a new outlook to switch it up a notch. This is a time to set big goals. Luck is on your side, and your Gemini nature is on volume 10. But can you charm your way through everything? Or do you need to put the work in? Let's see what the dice says. You have Leo, Uranus, and the 7th house. Well, that's quite exciting. Leo loves a bit of drama. And when it's with Uranus, it's ready to explode, be extrovert, be very out there, be controversial. It loves the attention. When we put them with the 7th house, this is around drawing in an exciting and dramatic and unexpected relationship. There's a lot of charisma with this reading. With Uranus, what you call in also tends to get exploded out the other side. It's revolutionary, it's erratic, it has its own rhythm. So for some Geminis, this could mean there's a bit of disruption going on in relationships where the dramatics have got a bit dramatical, or where suddenly you're flavour of the month. And with Jupiter moving into your sign, we know you're on Gemini volume 10. My only concern for you is because this is a bit dramatic, fire sign Leo and the planet of upheaval, where do we find the harmony that the 7th house wants? Uranus in the 7th can disrupt harmony and disrupt relationships. But I would say since Jupiter's moving into your sign and you've got 12 months of expanded growth, any relationships that have a sudden ending or a sudden entrance are all part of this period of development for you. If you're bored with your relationships, this is the month they really get lightened up. And if you've been having dramatic and inconsistent relationships, Jupiter moving into your sign is going to boost your sense of self and pull independence back into who you are, back into your choices. Remember, if there is a bit of drama in your relationships, you don't have to burn the house down to get your point across. Make of that what you will, Gems. Cancer. Cancer, Jupiter is taking you on a ride into the mystical side of life, and it's inviting you to search deeper into your spiritual connections. Jupiter's expansion for you is more of an internal process, a search for meaning, restoration, psychological growth. It's about nurturing and cultivating a dream before you're ready to harvest it. So what does the dice have to say about Jupiter's gift of spiritual growth for you? Cancer, there you are, 10th house and the Sun. Because the dice is speaking directly to you, Cancer, there's a strong message here about how you're known, what you aspire, what your title is. I think this is about you really uncovering your true vocational calling. You could be looking at changing your profession, or you've reached a peak and you're ready for a different stream. I think this next 12-month phase, while Jupiter is digging through that mystical, spiritual side, that you will definitely be looking for more purpose and more authenticity in how you're seen by the outside world. For Cancerians who are looking for work or recognition at work, these are really good dice. And where you're really going to excel is through your Cancerian nature, your ability to nurture and protect, and the way you can create safe space for others. For some of you, this might be about the role you have with your mother or with your own children. And it looks like a cycle is coming to an end, reaching a peak, shifting the power dynamics in that relationship. And Jupiter's move into Gemini is going to support that inner nourishment and that inner growth. Leo, Jupiter's move into Gemini brings a year of fun, expanding your social group, finding community, and feeling really good about your connection to the wider world. This is the time of getting yourself out there and extending your reach, intellectually, collaboratively, through friendships and networks. May is a good time for you to make some goals. Let's see how the dice rolls with that. You have the 3rd house, whoops, that was the 3rd, Aries and Pluto. Aries is your fellow fire sign. It's the ram that just pushes through, has bravery and courage, and readily takes on any battle. In the 3rd house, which is the house of communication and messaging, it can mean bickering, cross purposes, and where you can feel like you're butting heads with someone else. Well, Pluto is there saying you need to transform anything like that pattern. Pluto wants to put an end to any low vibration conflict that's coming up in your neighbourhood, amongst your siblings, or in your day-to-day communication. What Pluto is putting into this recipe is to rise to the higher vibration of Aries, to be a leader, to be a good role model, to be brave and protective for the group. Now, Leo, that's a natural role for you to play. So I'd say you're 3/4 of the way there. But we can't turn our back on Pluto. Pluto wants you to go in deeper into the meaning behind what this conflict is. And that might have you turning your focus inward to where is there inner conflict? Where have you lost your independence? Where have you lost your courage? Hidden underneath all your bravado, Pluto says there may be a source of shame, a sense of loss, something that you're grieving. And over May, you can precisely and penetratingly get to the core of what that is and come out feeling stronger and braver on the other side. Virgo. Jupiter in Gemini puts career opportunities and professional satisfaction in your sights. So some of you are reaching decisions about branching out or starting a new cycle. That Gemini influence could have you starting a second career or splitting your work time with a passion project. How can the dice give the best advice? You have Venus, Cancer, 12th house. So Virgo, this looks like May. There's a bit of a retreat back into your shell. Or it might mean that you have to kind of keep your lips sealed. Keep your cards close to your chest. The 12th house is the place of mystery, of the other worlds, of the dream world. And Cancer is ruled by the moon. So it's very at home in the psychic sensitivity of this place. And with Venus, we've got the influence of how you relate, of love and romance. So when we put them together, this could look like a secret relationship, a relationship with your own self-care, a relationship that forms while you're on retreat, or a spiritual connection, perhaps with a group of women, or a group that carries that kind of feminine influence. The 12th house is also a place of isolation, and in this case there might be isolation from someone who gave you nurturing. Someone might be ghosting you, or a romantic relationship could show itself up to be more of a carer's relationship, the passion fizzling out. This could mean time out recuperating, or in whatever sense, there's something going on here that pulls you out of your day-to-day. There's a beautiful element of water and softness and gentleness and nurturing with this read. It's spiritually nourishing. It reinvigorates your love and your self-care. It makes you feel safe and protected. I say, Virgo, use May to take the pressure off yourself. Do nice things for yourself, pamper yourself, and connect up with what gives you spiritual nourishment. Libra. Jupiter's move into Gemini broadens your horizons and gets you restless for something more. Over the next 12 months, you've got new travel plans, new cultures, and new learning giving you a boost from Jupiter. And it's the right time to stretch yourself to new areas. What does the dice have to say? You have Cancer, the South Node, and the 3rd house. Okay, Libra, there might be some conversation or way of thinking, something that's gone into your brain, that it's time to let go and move on. Jupiter's move into Gemini is going to expand your horizons. And the dice seems to be saying here there's a part of you that's got small. You've gone into protection mode. And maybe you kept silent or withdrawn on your true desires and your true needs. May is the time that you release that. Open up the little crabby claws that come with Cancer and let go. Cancer is about needing emotional safety. And this feels like you've been stuck in a rut. Maybe you just learned to live with resignation, or you've been stuck in the past. There's a real message here to get back on top of what you need to thrive. Get your creativity moving again. Be able to nurture and nourish yourself. Some Librans may have found they've been stuck in a role of mothering, of holding the emotional space for others, and you've kind of reached your limits. For others, this could be where you put your emotional safety into someone or something else. And that safety basket isn't holding now. Destiny's calling for you to go beyond that limited way. It's almost like with this dice, there's been a gated community. And you're finding that the protections that that metaphoric gated community held for you is no longer serving. You've had the eclipse in your sign and you're ready for change. I suspect this comfort zone is getting too stodgy for you, Libra. Scorpio. Scorpio, the new moon on the 8th could be a bit jarring for you and perhaps leaving you feeling frustrated or misunderstood. There's an undercurrent here that you want resolved, and it leads into Jupiter's move into Gemini. Over the next 12 months, there may be important decisions you have to make, a transitional stage, and a sense that you have to let go of one path to open up a new one. How can the dice advise? You have the 4th house, Uranus, and Aquarius. Scorpio, this puts a bit of pressure on your family life and your home life. Uranus is the planet of disruption and upheaval. So there's definitely restlessness going on at home, because that's what the fourth house is talking about. It's like pulling out your roots. Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius, so we've got a match. There's a kind of a meant to be about this. For some of you, you might have deliberately chosen to have some upheaval, but it's very hard when it's playing out in the roots of your chart. It's about opening up to a new way, softening some of your hard shell to let in a new way of thinking or a new bunch of people. There's definitely a vibe of group activity here, and a lot of diversity, a lot of curiosity, a lot of not really knowing where to put your feet. Something in May is pushing you into the future and giving you a glimpse of how you'd like things to look. If that means putting up with a certain amount of disruption now, then that's what you'll do, because I look at this dice and you don't really have a choice. I would say for you Scorpios, take this month in your stride by being open-minded. And that means letting go of judgment, letting things erupt so that they can settle in a new way. These two bring a very fast energy to a place that wants to stay still, and they come with a stroke of brilliance. If you find yourself acting out of character, if you find you have to cut off something that's not working for you, cut off from a group, or try a different tack where there's been a very stubborn situation, then May is the time you give it all a red hot go. Good luck, Scorp. Sagittarius. Sag, you've got the full moon in your sign on the 23rd, and Jupiter makes a lucky placement in your house of relationships. This means until the middle of next year, you'll be expanding your connections and your partnerships in a positive flow with giving and receiving, and looking at the way you communicate with your significant others. What has the dice got to say about this? Okay, Sag, you've got the second house and the moon and Scorpio. Sag, this gives you a lot of emotional strength over the month of May. There's the moon talking about your needs for security, your needs for nurturing, where your feelings are at, and potentially even your own mother. With Scorpio, those feelings run deep. The moon in Scorpio gets right down to the emotional depths. And those depths can be things like fear, abandonment, deception. The second house talks about your resources, what gives you stability. And this looks like to me you've learned something about your own emotional strength, your emotional resilience, and your ability to regenerate and grow after trauma or a traumatic experience. For some Sages, they may be in a bit of fear over May. The full moon's in your sign, and it will bring up some of your emotional vulnerability. This dice is about trusting that you have enough when you need it and how you need it. This is about being resourceful, and there's a ton of resource available to you if you can tap into it. This is where deep honesty is needed, and your self-worth is put on the line a bit here. If you're having a bit of a struggle with body image or your sexuality, even just your baseline survival needs, then I think around that full moon time on the 23rd, your feelings will come clearer, and you might even want a bit of an honesty sesh with someone else around that time. Stay true and keep the faith. You are resilient. Capricorn. Capricorn, the Taurus new moon on the 8th opens up a new cycle. Some Caps will be relishing newfound financial freedom, and other Caps will be looking at how they can get to financial freedom. Jupiter will spend 12 months boosting your work opportunities, your daily habits, and even making short-term travel a thing. And it's all in the name of giving you more confidence, more variety, and more optimism in your day-to-day. What has the dice got you looking out for? Caps, there you are, Capricorn. There's your oh my God, that was the 10th house. This is a match. There's Saturn. Oh my Lord. That's your ruling planet, Saturn. That's your native house, the 10th. There you are, Capricorn, on top of the hill. So when we talk about Jupiter moving into Gemini, we are talking about a brand new cycle for you. This is you in your element. There's something going on in May that makes you very true to who you are. You're commanding, you're respected, you carry an internal sense of authority. You're able to work within limitations, you're able to have discipline, and you're in the peak moment of this being seen and understood by the rest of the world. Some Capricorns with this will be making a decision that is very final. That new cycle is calling you into a whole new level of living. If you felt you've been undervalued or disrespected, then you're really going to be calling that out over the next few weeks and proving what you're worth. Be gracious about your wins and gracious about your losses. Remember the people who helped you get there. I just think it's pretty hard odds with these dice to get the sign in the house with the planet all in one throw. So I expect you're very protected this month. You're very true to form, and a position of responsibility and respect suits you to a T this month. Aquarius, that first week of May hits a bit of a hurdle around that new moon time. If something isn't working, it might be time to look in a new direction. Jupiter's move into Gemini inspires you to diversify. There's a creative outlet waiting to be expressed, and this next 12 months gives you a push in that direction. What does the dice have to say? Okay, you have Aries, the third house, and the Sun. So the third house is the house of communication. It's also the house of Gemini. So we've got that Jupiter flavour stepping in. And we've got Aries and the Sun there. The Sun is really happy in Aries. It just can focus on its own needs and getting what it needs done. So I get the feeling for you, Aquarius. You need to cut all distractions and really focus on your messaging. Focus on where you need to get communication happening. Aries is strong. It's single-minded. That's great if you're talking about project management or nuts and bolts, left brain stuff. It's not so good if there's an emotional issue underneath this, because Aries in the third can ride roughshod over others, especially when it's got the Sun there, feeling that it's very right, it's very true, it's very on. The way to go about this, if you are in a communication issue over May, is to lead by inspiration. Find the passion and use that to support a greater structure. Aries wants to learn by getting out in the world and doing it, not by having to listen to instruction and going over detail. Wherever you're feeling stuck, Aquarius, whether it's butting heads, not being able to get clear communication, or not knowing what direction you're in, May seems to be the time that you're able to talk that through or reignite your inspiration. Step back from trying to bash down doors. Even the courage to develop a new and more independent part of yourself. Pisces. Pisces, you've had Saturn in your sign for more than a year, and there are responsibilities that need to be attended. Jupiter in Gemini brings that focus to home and family, and some of you will find home life goes through changes and expansion. This could literally mean new additions to the family, renovations, visitors, or a move. Wherever Jupiter visits, it brings luck and expansion. So even if it's uncomfortable at the time, any change to your home routine is going to work out for the better. How can the dice help? You have the fifth house, Libra, and Neptune, that's your ruler. Okay, so this puts May in a really nice, dreamy, romantic, musical, poetic, dreamlike space. And that's great if you just want to flow along and let everything be easy. But if you're looking for some sort of commitment, or if you're looking at taking your relationship into a deeper level, then these aren't really the dice for that. Neptune dissolves what it touches, And it can come with the sacrifice. With Libra, it's around relationships. And it's very romantic, especially in the 5th house, which is the house of romance, the house of fun. So where there's romantic fun, I think you really find a lovely balance. But if you're putting pressure or tipping the scales of the expectations, then you'll need to watch out Saturn, who's also in your sign, putting a consequence and a reality check on this. This combination has got a lot of beauty, a lot of charm, a lot of affection, a lot of imagination. This is lovely dice for making dreams, but it's not the dice for drawing conclusions. It's not the dice for looking for commitment. If you've lived too extravagantly, if you've lived in a fantasy world without the balance, Saturn says that it will catch up with you. So don't go overboard this month. Enjoy the time. Enjoy the flow without putting yourself in a position where there's a payback. I hope that gives you a bit of background to how Jupiter will affect you over the next 12 months. And thanks for checking in with the Astrology Dice Horoscopes. See you again next month. I'm Meryl Key and this is my Mystery School. Find me on Instagram at my_mystery school or on my website www.merylkey.com. Thanks for watching.